Hello kids, it's Mr. Agee here, and I'd like to talk with you about your homework, not your homework, your independent work for Thursday, November 12th, um, in math. So you're gonna click into the math folder here for week 13, click into math, and you can see the assignment is the lesson 19 problem set and the lesson 19 homework. I'd like for you to do as many examples as possible during your math time. And if you have questions, make sure you bring those questions to me. It's a lot more subtraction practice with borrowing, except they take it a little step further this time around. And I'm not going to do too much because I want you to get the practice. On some examples, like on these two examples here, 1C and 1D on the lesson 19 problem set, they ask you to subtract using the standard algorithm, and you're in these problems you're going to have to borrow twice in the same problem. So I just wanted to model for you what it looked like as we do problems like this, so you could see it and have a record of it. If you're doing it on your own, you're like, how did he do that again? You can just go back to the video and watch it happen. So I've got this problem here, 513 grams minus 148 grams, and you can remember from the day before and many other times when we've talked about this, the order does matter in subtraction. The first number is the number you're going to put on top. The second number is the number you're going to put on bottom, and the most critical thing is that you are lining up the place values as you rewrite these problems. So um, the process here is to start with the ones, move to the tens, then move to the hundreds. And so we have to evaluate, do I have enough ones here in 3 ones to subtract 8? And as based on my interaction with you yesterday, I think that most of you understand that we do not have enough. And so we have to come over here and take the 110 and transform it into 10 ones. So that means that I've got 0 tens left because I'm taking that 10 that's there and I'm transforming it, I'm regrouping it as 10 ones. And I've already got 3 ones there, so I'm going to put 13 here because I took the 10 ones that were here in this 10 and added them to the 3 ones that were already here. Now I have enough ones to subtract 8, so I've got 13 minus 8 is 5. And then I go back to, now I'm finished with the ones and I go to the tens. And in yesterday's assignment, you always had enough tens up here to subtract the bottom number of tens. Well, now you don't. So you have to use a process where you're going to move over to the hundreds and you're going to say, okay, I see 500s here. I need some tens because in order to subtract 4 tens, I need more than 4 tens. I need at least 4 tens here up on top. So I'm going to take one of these hundreds and turn it into 10 tens. Now, some people put the 1 right here next to the 0, and that's totally fine if that's how you do it. I just like to kind of keep track of what I'm doing here. And so I'm going to take that 100 that I just regrouped out of this hundreds column. It's got 10 tens in it, so I'm going to put them into the tens column. So now I've got 10 tens over here, and I've got 4 hundreds left. So you can see it's a little bit tricky, and I gave myself enough space up here to actually do that written work. That's one of the things if you're writing on your paper, if you're writing this 513 right up here underneath these problems, you're not giving yourself enough time, enough space to actually do the work of borrowing, which happens above the standard algorithm. So now I can do the calculation. So I've got 10 tens and I'm taking away 4 tens. That gives me 6 tens for 60. And now I've got 4 hundreds over here minus 100 is 300. And I don't want to forget my units here. I've got grams. And so I can just ask myself, does it make sense? If I've got about 500 grams and I'm taking away about 150, I'll go down 100 to 400 and then down another 50 to 350. And this number is near 350, so I'm probably in pretty good shape. Or I can use the method that Audrey did yesterday where I add up 5 and 8 make 13, 6 and 4 make 10, and 3 and 1 make 4. There are a couple ways to kind of check your work. I'll do one more example for you and then turn you loose to do as much of this on your own as you possibly can. Like I said, try to get through all of the problem set and homework if you can. If you run out of steam or you get really overly frustrated, it's really not worth it. You can just bring your questions to me on the following day. Okay, so I'm going to use the shape feature here. I line underneath. Now I'm going to start in the ones place. I've got 1, 1. I'm going to try to take away 7, and I can't. So I'm going to go over here to the 4 tens. I'm going to turn one of those 4 tens into 10 ones. And so now I've got 11 ones, and I've got 3 tens left. Okay, so now I've got 11 ones over here trying to take away 7. That gives me 4 ones left over. Now I've got 3 tens trying to take away 8. So since the 3 is smaller than the 8, that would end up being a negative number, which is completely possible. You are allowed to subtract into the negative numbers, but not using the standard algorithm. The standard algorithm is built for positive numbers only. And so we're going to come over here and we're going to take one of these hundreds and transform it into 10 tens, and I've already got 3 tens here, so I'm going to add that on to the 10 tens that I just moved over. And now I've got 13 tens and 5 hundreds. Now if you put those together here, 13 tens is 130, and 5 tens would be 500. So that would end up being 530, which makes sense. So 13 here is enough to take away the 8 tens here. I end up with 5 tens left over. And like I said, I'm assuming that many of you, or most of you, know your addition and subtraction facts. If you do not know your addition and subtraction facts, I highly recommend you get some extra practice working on those so that you can work through these problems more quickly without the struggle of the counting that you have to do when you don't know the facts. I've got 500s minus 300s gives me 200s. Now I can just check how reasonable my answer is by rounding and estimating. So this is about 650. This is about 400. 650 minus 400 is going to be 250. And so here I see I'm near 250. I can use Audrey's method of starting with the difference and adding to get my sum, which is the number that I start with. So I've got 4 plus 7 is 11, 5 plus 8 is 13, and 2 plus 3 is 5. So 254 grams would be the difference between 641 grams and 387 grams. All right, guys, so good luck with this. I think they ask you, so this is just basic problem solving, word problems, and they're going to be stretching you a little bit with the types of borrowing that they're asking you to do. They never ask you to use a tape diagram in this problem set here, but feel free to model the problem with a math picture. I do think that that helps to visualize the problem. However, if you just want to take this time to zip through it using the standard algorithm and getting a little extra practice, that's totally fine by me. Good luck and do your best as usual. Practice being neat, organized, and beautiful in your writing, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you again in our virtual lessons. All right, adios.